It is the Fantasy Golf Degenerate podcast, and as always, we are bringing you another episode going to Torrey Pines this week for the Farmers Insurance Open. And as always, I'm here with my good friend and Washington Commanders super fan, Kenny Goddamn Kim. Kenny, what's cooking?
Yeah, man, pretty good weekend. Looking forward to this event. The field isn't that great, which is a shame, but a monstrous, of course. It should be fun. Let's win some money. Let's see how we do.
Yeah, speaking about monsters, Jaden Daniel is an absolute monster, but we will get to that later. As always, the show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Go check out Underdog. Use code Mayo for up to $1,000 deposit bonus when you're signing up for best ball drafts, all that jazz. We'll have pick'em slips for you guys on the X account as well this week because there's some good advantages with the two course rotations. So, Kenny, the Amex, my brother, Justin Lauer.
Yeah. Lower got the place. It wasn't as great of a week as I wanted with like 87 million bets that I had still under my budget. Lower saved the week with the place at 140 to 1. Straka looked like he couldn't be beat. He had his first bogey on his 69th hole, of the tournament. With the way he was playing, I was sort of pissed off because he was like my second highest owned in GPPs. And I did not play him. I did not bet him. So that one stings a little bit. Justin Thomas was like third highest owned in my GPP. Siwa was first. That sort of brought everything down. I got like 80% of my money back in GPPs, which isn't great. Cash lineups have been struggling a little bit. Going to change it up maybe this week. Try to get a little bit uncomfortable with the cash lineup this week. See if that can make a little bit of a change at this event. But honestly, I didn't watch much of the event on Sunday. It was definitely on the smaller TV, or Saturday for that matter, just because, competing with football is just insane. And that's why the PGA is smart this week with the Wednesday start. Just don't forget, it is a Wednesday start this week, so they can finish before the football, which is smart because I would not watch a single moment of this on Sunday if it came down to it, because my Commanders are in the NFC Championship game.
Kenny, your Commanders are in the NFC Championship game, dude.
Yeah, I got to say, here's the thing about my fandom, all right? So, the last, I guess it's about 2019, the Ron Rivera, the end of Jay Gruden era is when I started not being as crazy of a fan. In my youth and in my 20s, the Redskins, my life revolved basically around the Redskins, right? At that point in time, I would plan my week around the games. Everything revolved around them. How my week went. If they lose on a Sunday, I'd be pissed the whole week. And back then it was all alcohol, drug induced, crazy Kenny back at that time. And I was like a psycho fan, right? Live and die with the team, literally live and die with the team. Relationships ended because of the Commanders. You guys know the proposal story.
Engagement started with the Commanders.
where I threw the ring at my fiance, blah, blah, blah. All of that was during that time. And, I've matured. And also the team's been horrible. So it's just been really, really bad. Growing up in the DC area, I came to Washington, DC in 1983. So the 83 Super Bowl, the 84 Super Bowl loss, I don't really remember those, but 87 against the Broncos, 91 against the Bills, and then making the playoffs every year, basically until the early 90s. You just created this super fandom. And then in my 20s, of course, it just was angry fueled, but it kept going. And I sort of laid back a lot, but now I'm ready to become that asshole of a person again, because what's happened with this team has just been so incredible that I might have to jump back on and go back to old habits and just be a horrible person again until they suck again. I don't know. We shall see. Right now we're playing with house money. It should be a lot of fun, but that's enough about the Commanders. We should talk about more about last week. How did you do last week?
I had just a normal week. I lost a half a unit there here. Max Greasem and Kenny, one of the worst beats I've ever had. Top 5, 2 units on the line to win. He goes into the final hole, solo fifth. Double bogey, finished his T7, missed a 7-footer to
Oh
make
my
a
God.
bogey, and then he missed the 6-footer on the previous hole for the eagle. So he missed 2, and then he hit it in the water, and then that was it. Like, that switched my week from profitable to just losing a little bit. Keith
all it
Mitchell
takes, right?
finished, Keith Mitchell, top 20, finished T21st.
Yeah, I had a Carson Young live top 20. He was like all the way up to like 9th through the front 9 on Sunday, and then just shit the bed on the back. Harry Hall, I had a top 10 on. He was like 8th going into the back 9 on Sunday. Shit the bed, finished outside the top fucking 20. So those hurt. At least I got some of my money back with lower. That got me like 90% of my money back that I gambled with for outrights, but then I lost those 2 other bets. So not the greatest week. Cash lineup was there. I actually hit an underdog slip, but I didn't post it, so who cares?
Congrats on like that, Kenny. Thanks for letting us know about that one.
My bad. I haven't won in so long. I was like, I should probably stop posting, right? I can't. I guess it's only been since like late fall, like one of the last fall events. But to me, that seems like it's been a long time. Like it's only been like 3 events total, like 12 rounds. But we're trying to hit 3-man parlays here. Not that fucking easy, I guess. So, but I finally hit one of those, and it was for a small amount of money, on like a couple $100. I didn't post it, but not the greatest week. Not the betting wise, it's been okay, but the 3rd each way of the season. If I can average 1 each way a week, I mean, and then get the 6-7 outrights. I'm gonna win money for the year. So we're on that goal. We're on that path with the Nick Taylor win last week and 3 each ways in 3 events, but didn't go the way I wanted, really.
No. And then Tony Finau, also, I spoke about him on the show as the big top 20 bet. Stay tuned for another one. Just didn't show up. Sung J.M., I mean, just off the bat, he was never going to make the cut, and he almost
but then he almost made the cut. He shot 11 under in the last 2 rounds.
Yeah,
I think he started at 5 over, finished at 6 under for the last. That South course really messed Sung Jae up. Now that's a funny thing. Like, what do you do about that coming into this week? I expect his ownership probably won't be that high. It could be a flop lag opportunity, but I don't know if I'll get on board. We'll talk about that more as the show goes on.
Yes, we will. So anything else that you want to mention, Kenny, when it comes to last week's, anything exciting that you thought about? I mean, you guess you're watching mostly football, right? So I hardly watched on Sunday.
I mean, I had it on a smaller TV, but it was, and I was watching some of it, but JT being up there, it looks like he's going to get that W at some point in time. One thing I really thought was encouraging was Will Zalatoris playing an absolute birdie fest. And we've talked about this before on this show, that we both agreed that birdie fests normally aren't his thing. I mean, to do that and then come this week, pretty easy to see why he's the most popular bet that I've seen.
Yeah. Well, that's undoubted.
I talked about it yesterday evening, Sunday evening, that I was thinking about betting him. And a lot of people agreed. I saw a lot of cards today with him on it. It would be a huge community win, so we'll see. But he looked good to me, and Straka, of course, going out there and just really dominating. 3rd win in his in the last 18 months or something like that. I mean, like, that's a lot of wins, right? I mean, the guy is a force out there. And the numbers that were out there, 65 to 80 to 1, really bitter that I did not take one of those numbers. Congrats to everyone that did, because there was a bunch out there.
Lots. Brutal. That's the worst, Kenny, is when you miss out on a guy the week before, and then the next week it's just like a mini community win, and then you just like, God damn it, just get off Twitter for a little while and just kind of relax. But it is what it is. It's a long grind. You're just trying to have fun with this thing. And loved your segment that we snipped out last week, Kenny, about the betting your money, how you want to, because FF, blah, 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 beep, beep, all that jazz. Go check it out on the account. It was a great one.
It's facts. I mean, I do this for fun. And I'm sure 90% of the people out there that listen to the show, we're doing it for fun, right? And like people out there that are, you got to get the early line. You got to do this. We aren't pro bettors. right? I mean, we're out there 15 minutes before kickoff while we're on the fucking toilet, right? Oh, let me throw some money on here. That's what we did. Now, for the guys that want a little bit more for the golf aspect, we bring a little bit more than that here, right? But I would bet that the majority of the guys out there are just doing it for fun. We're not doing this to be pro bettors. We bet what we can lose, and we have a good time doing it.
Amen, baby. We have a damn good time doing it. That's for sure.
I had a story this week, but I was telling the guys before the show started, I had a thing where I was going to bring Xander and why he's been missing these, the Scheffler stories that I've been doing in the past. But the difficult thing is, okay, honestly, I'll let you know, I was like really stoned when I came up with the idea, like super high. I thought it was hilarious while I was writing. I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing. It's going to be great. I was like a 3-part story, huge bit. I thought it was going to be great. And I looked at it this afternoon, like before the show, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. The difficult part about this is, this is an entertainment show, and a knowledge show where you try to bring the info. But I try and bring the comedic relief to the show. The issue, of course, is unlike like a stand-up comedian who can practice at like dive bars and get their act right, I have one chance. And the thing is, I don't even know if the people listening like it or not, because I can't hear your responses out there listening to the pod. So sometimes it's a little bit nerve-wracking. Just didn't feel this story, but I'll come up with something. We'll keep doing these crazy little stories and these tidbits as the season goes on.
These aren't crazy little stories. These are real life events, Kenny, that you are getting from your sources.
True,
so let's make sure we.
This one was definitely a real life event. This one was definitely a real life event.
Yes,
but maybe I'll bring it back up at some point in time. Maybe I could fine tune it.
Beautiful. I need you to go back to the lab and cook up a beautiful, fiction, non-fiction feedback for us, Kenny, because the sources. But before we do that, let's go ahead, pay some bills.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. I personally like the pick'em games. Pick whether your favorite players will have a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for a chance to win big. Can win up to 100 times your money in a single night. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build a pick'em entry. Can also make rivals picks, which pits 2 players against each other. Now, the reason I like the pick'em games is because of these things called scorchers. There's these little chili peppers next to the golfers' names, and if you click on that, it adds to your multiplier, so you can win even more money. Sign up today with promo code Mayo and get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pick'em special. Must be 18 or over and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
All right, so we're back. Let's talk about our YouTube comment contest winner. So every week on the show, if you guys go to our YouTube comments page, make sure you put who you think is going to win the event. The first person to put the correct winner will get a bunch of Byron shit. Membership to his Discord for 30 days for free. Just make sure you put a way to reach out to you. The last couple of times, we haven't been able to find the people who actually won. Last week was a female. What was her name? Who won?
Amy.
No, last week.
Joanne won last week.
So Joanne was a winner. And this week, we have another female winner, which is pretty shocking. Like, I'm sort of like horrified that
it's really embarrassing
that women listen to the show. And I apologize tremendously to Joanne and Amy for anything that I have said in the past that might have made you feel uncomfortable. My bad. I'm not going to say I'm going to stop, but I do apologize. So another winner this week was Amy Fend, 6633, the second female winner. I think the last time I looked at our analytics, I think 8% were female. And I was like, that's insane. I could not believe that. But there we go. I think it's because I'm so pretty. That's the only reason. That's the only reason, really, that I could think of. I mean, I'm just a beautiful man, so it's pretty easy to see why the females would come. I'm just kidding. I'm pretty fucking ugly, but thank you. I appreciate it. She picks up Straka, did not leave where we could find her. Make sure you do that when you put the comments on there so you can get a free month on Byron's Discord. If you haven't checked it out, it's unbelievable. I'll tell them what they get.
Yeah, no, you get my models, you get my interactive research tool, you get my placement tool, the one I use to make all my bets with, my matchup tool that I do after each round for the matchups. You get all my round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4 showdown. You get the one and done tool, like anything under the goddamn sun that you need to just do some sort of research on for golf. I got you, boo. And I can say boo because we got some boos watching the show. So
like just thinking about this more. Like, I really hope they didn't listen to the armpit story. I don't know if you guys even know about the armpit story. I'm not going to tell it because it's probably the grossest story I've ever told at all, ever, all time. I've told that story one time. And that story is the one that stuck out to me when I thought about women listening to the show. Yeah, if you can find it, go listen to it. It's funny, but it's sort of disgusting. Anyways,
we got some good momentum now, Kenny. Let's leave the armpits alone.
Go back, try and find out. Try and find it. I forget which show it was. And we're on show 398 this week. 399.
99.
This is 399. Next week is number 400 for Pebble. So we've been doing this a while. It should be fun, but let's move on. Byron, why don't you lead us to the next segment?
Absolutely, Kenny. We appreciate every one of you that follow along on the show. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. We would really appreciate that. Let's get into the course preview for this week, Kenny. We got 2 course rotation. Give us the down and dirties.
All right, so sounds good. Let's get to these courses for this week. First off, let's talk about the courses. Let's go all in. The PGA Tour is in La Jolla, California this week for the Farmers Insurance Open. The Farmers are going to be played on the North and South course at historic Torrey Pines. Golfers are going to play both courses on Thursday and Friday, and then just the South course on Saturday and Sunday. Even though the North course, it went through some renovations like a few years ago, still by far the easier of the 2 courses. Now, no golfer has shot over par in the North course and won here since 1983. Usually, they go low. Winners go low at the North and just sort of hold on the South. Now, last year was a little bit different. Pavon shot 69 on the North and came back the next day on the South course with a 65. We've actually seen 63s and 62s at the South course here in the last couple of years. The big thing that's changed that I've seen is the PGA don't let the greens be firm anymore unless there's no option at all. Unless it's like desert, drought, fire probability. That's really the only time you're ever going to see it. And now we are in California. They haven't had that much rain. We can hope that these greens are going to be firm. But if they water them and they're soft, it doesn't matter that it's 7,800 fucking yards. Some of these guys are going to go out there and it's going to be a birdie fest. And that's just what the PGA Tour has been outside of majors. They hold the majors where that happens, and 95% of all the other events, no matter how difficult the course is, even if the course is going to be hard, they're going to set it up a little bit easier. I don't like it. I don't think any of us like it. Now, hopefully, with Torrey Pines being the coast course for the Genesis in 2 weeks, where that has been changed as Riviera and the wildfires out there have occurred, they've changed that to Torrey Pines South. Now, we would hope something we saw at the Memorial last time, right? Where it did the work day first. The course played very, very easy, right? And then they came back at Memorial and they really toughened that thing up, right? They didn't water it. They made it. I'm hoping that's what we see maybe this week is going to play a little bit easier than what we see in a couple of weeks. And I really hope they bring out the toughness of this course when it comes back in 2 weeks. Now, I would say let's not expect it this week. Even though the course has been playing easier, it's still, normally top 15 in most difficult courses on tour throughout the years. Now, a couple of tidbits. This was actually from Adon X7. A couple of last year that he wrote on Twitter at AdonX7. Cool cat, brings out some picks out there. he talks about this. He's like, don't bet anything. And I did not listen to this because that's just the way I am. But you probably should listen to what I say, not what I do. So don't bet anything until tee times are out. Then only bet North Course starters before the tourney, right? Wait to bet South Course starters after the first round, right? And so the reason for this, it makes sense, that the South is so much more difficult, right? And so you bet the North guys, and their numbers are probably going to go down because they're playing the easier course, but then the guys that are playing the South Course, the first round, their numbers, depending, are probably going to go up live because they are playing a much more difficult course, and their scores aren't going to be anywhere near where the North Course is. The North Course can play 4 strokes easier than the South. So to me, I think that makes a lot of sense when you're doing the betting aspect of this, and then go in with the live bets on the South Course guys who play round 1 first after they complete the first round. Then you start picking off those South Course guys. Again, I didn't do this because I'm dumb. But this is something that maybe you should think about, and I think it's a great strategy for gambling, for betting this week. Weather can play a huge factor. What we see this week, it looks like 3 pristine days, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. Not much wind. Saturday? Could see
Wednesday, Thursday.
You're right. Yeah. Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. Yes, I'm sorry. Looks like they could be good weather days. Friday, this round 3, looks like there could be 20+ mile per hour winds. So, that could be fun. Now, when it comes, we've said this before, I only pay attention to the first round. It's too hard to judge. The other 3 rounds, first round seems pretty easy, seems pretty light. All right. So before we go on to the courses, couple of trends. All right. 12 of the last 15 winners of Torrey has had a previous top 10 at this event. Last year was different. Pavon did not. Okay. Let's go 40%, a little bit over 40% of all winners in the history of this event have some type of California connection. Born and raised there, played college there. That's usually a sign of them being familiar with POA, right? That's basically where that comes from, because the West Coast is where you see this bumpy, grainy, hard to putt on, balls just, going anywhere type of POA. And guys who have, played POA courses before, more than likely are going to play POA better. So that's where that number comes from. Also, 9 of the last 10 winners made at least 1 start in the calendar win prior to their win. So a lot of guys who come in don't play Hawaii, don't play the Amex, and this is their first event. Not much success here, at least from a winning perspective. Okay, so let's get to the course, North Course. The North Course of Torrey Pines, 7,258-yard par 72, 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s, like 600 yards shorter than the South Course. So par 5s all reachable. Golf all reachable. There's also drivable par 4. Scoring well in these 5 holes. It's going to go a long way to making a cut, right? Par 4, par 5 scoring, and then that 1 par 4 that you could drive. There's also one that you could drive. Maybe I'm confusing it with Riviera, but I know there's one in the North Course. Tom Weiskopf redesigned the course in 2016, added lengths, widened the fairways, removed bunkers, enlarged the greens. Off the tee, golfers are going to see average size fairways, thick-ish rough, nowhere near what we see at the South. The few trees, fairway bunkers, but much less to worry about than the South Course. On approach shots, golfers are going to see average to large size greens, bunkers guarding most putting surfaces. The greens use bent grass, should be quick, around 12 on the stem. Now the South Course, this one's the monster. Torrey Pines South, 7,800 yards, par 72 behemoth, 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s. Par 5s are lengthy, around 590 yards each, average. Only the longest hitters really have a chance of reaching all 4 of these holes in 2 shots. The course is one of the hardest on tour that we've seen. But again, birdies can happen here, especially since they water the greens. We've seen 10 under. We've seen 9 under multiple times at this event in the last 40 years. All right, not the last 40 years, sorry. The last 4 years, we've seen -10s, -9s at this course. So, yes, it's difficult, but if you're playing well, you could still get a bunch of birdies. And I know a lot of people don't really think about birdie or better percentage on a course like this. But the way the PGA Tour is, even at events like this, my guess is they're going to water the greens. My guess is they're going to be receptive, at least this week. So birdie or better, I think, is something that you look at, and bogey avoidance is something that you want to look at as well, but maybe not as much as it used to be. We'll see. Let's see what the players say as the week goes on. We'll see how firm, because obviously California hasn't had that much rain, right? But recently they haven't had that much rain. Maybe that's affected San Diego too. I am not sure. So that is something to pay attention to as we listen to Golf Channel and articles as the week goes on the course. If they are watering the greens, if the players say they're receptive, bump up birdie or better above bogey avoidance. If they say it's going to be a little bit more firm, a little bit more harder, the green's harder to stick on, well, then you go ahead, move up around the green, move up bogey avoidance in those situations. You're going to have to pay attention as the week goes. Okay. Now, where was I here? Now, off the tee, golfers going to see narrow tree line fairways, plenty of bunkers to dodge. Only around 50% of fairways are hit on this course year in and year out. And again, what you normally see at events like this, where the driving accuracy percentage is low and the rough is extremely high and the course is very long, you see bombers go out there. They should have a decided advantage. The Kikuyu rough has been minimum 2.5 inches, and we've seen it at 3.5 before. Again, something to pay attention to as the week goes on. A lot of that has to do with the weather prior going up to the event. I know a couple of years ago, there was a lot of rain heading up to this event, and this rough was thick and lush and 4 inches tall. Again, we'll have to check as the week goes on when it comes down there, down to it this week. Couple of things. A lot of the holes here at the South Course have a slight dog leg right. Right-handed golfers that play cut off the tee have been known to thrive here. And again, fairways don't necessarily have to be hit to succeed. Like Leisman won here years ago and was almost dead last in driving accuracy. Over the years, accurate golfers that are shorter have finished top 10, and then bombers have finished top 10. Like, don't count out the shorty guys who can hit a lot of fairways. For example, I think 3 or 4 years ago, 3 golfers in the top 20 in driving accuracy at Torrey finished top 10. 3 golfers in the top 20 in driving distance finished top 10 that year, right? The tournament more than likely won't be won off the tee. Rather, unless it could be lost off the tee, definitely. But I don't think the tournament can be won off the tee, but rather on approach shots, and though the edge always does go to length. And if you can find a guy who's accurate and long move with Ilberg, that might be the guy to go with for the week, right? I don't understand why Rory doesn't play here, right? This seems like it would be perfect for Rory.
He will be in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, shit, there we go. That might be, I don't know. He never played the course, so I don't know. We'll have to see what happens in a couple of weeks. Now, high green and regulations number here usually leads to success. And on approach shots, golfers are going to see smaller greens. Average to smaller greens, a lot of, and they're usually narrow. And they go from back to front, the slope. The putting surface usually multi-tiered, bit of undulation. These greens are protected very well. Large bunkers, thick rough. Most of the bunkers guard the front of the greens, which makes approach shots tough. And that's why hitting the fairways is important. If you're a shorter guy and you hit it into this rough, you're going to be hitting a longer iron into these greens. That means a lot of times you want to roll it up, right? Just because you're playing a club with a little bit less loft, it's not going to stick onto the ground, to the green as easily, especially out of the rough. Now, the issue with that on this course is a lot of the bunkers are in front of the greens. They block that way to do it. You know what I'm saying? So again, you don't have to be a long guy, but if you're a longer guy and you have wedges out of the rough or 7 irons, even 8 irons, it's going to give you an advantage. But don't count out the short guys who hit a lot of fairways and are good POA hitters. Now, let's see, where was I? When the pin location is near the front of the green, expect a lot of long approaches with fast putts coming down the slope. It's just a smarter play. The greens are POA and are very quick, around 13 on the stip. What stats are you looking for? What are you looking for overall in golfers this week?
Before I get into the stats, Kenny, I just want to like double down on what you were saying with distance. I think you want to lean into guys that have distance on the betting front, where it's you versus the books. But maybe DFS, you can kind of lean into those hyper accurate guys because that's where you get leverage, right? Because the path to success is on the distance route. But the way you can get some leverage is you find a few guys like Brand Snedeker, Justin Rose, those kind of guys that can short game and keep it in the fairway kind of thing. And just to double down on that, I know there's some new people that are probably listening. So distance, why it's so important when rough is really thick like this. First off, you're getting your ball so much further past a short hitter. So you're going to have 20 yards. Yes. So you're going to have 20 yards less into the green than the guy that hits it short. So this is where the advantage really comes in. You have 20 yards less, so you have less club to hit. And because you're so strong and have so much distance, even if you were in the same spot in the rough, you have more power. You can have more loft out of that same exact lie. So not only are you further along with even more loft, you get to use more loft because you're that much stronger. So it's like a double-edged sword when it comes to distance with really thick fairways. I know a lot of you know that, but maybe there's a few new listeners that have their mind now blown a little bit.
We've had a lot of new. We've had a little jump up in listenership here in the last couple of weeks. So thank you. So obviously there are some newer people listening. So that was a good point there.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you, and we appreciate you more if you hit that like button, subscribe to Mayo Media Network, because that's what we like over here. Kenny, when you mentioned bogey avoidance, the first thing I thought about was like how you can almost double down on bogey avoidance is by increasing your par 5 scoring. Because if you think about what you need for a par 5, like to be successful on the par 5s, is short game around the green, making sure you get up and down from green side to make your birdie on the par 5s, right? So at this golf course, a lot of the metrics are very par 5-esque. All of your shots, I mean, there's like almost 2 out of every 10 shots come from 250 plus. Got these long ass par 3s that almost act as a second shot for a par 5. You know what I'm saying? So there's a way you can kind of just really ramp up the par 5 scoring to kind of get that in there as like a multi-edged sword again. We're just throwing triple switchblades at you guys, yeah, with all the stats. But I feel like that's just some nerdy shit, you know, that you can kind of implement in your models by kind of covering your grounds there. Like I said, with the DFS,
I would say this is one of the more nerdy pods instead of like not much entertainment. And I apologize, but I'll bring it.
oh, Kenny?
The women love the nerds.
I just feel bad not doing the story. I had it all planned up, and it's just sort of in my mind, and not doing it now is sort of just inkling in the back of my mind. I was like, I should have done it. Anyways, go on.
Kenny, I know that your stories are always very good. So this is your opportunity now, because I know we had multitudes of people withdrawing from you, and the reasoning has to be substantial.
All right, fine. Let's do the story. All right, before we get to the betting aspect, let's do the story. All right. So Xander, he missed the cut. So what Xander did this past weekend when he missed the Amex. He's a big Commanders fan, big Redskins fan. Been a fan his entire life. All right, he's just been a huge fan, right? And so on Friday, he knew he had a couple of boys. Xander knew he had a couple of boys coming into town that, let's just say, they were from an era in his life, in Xander's life, where he did a lot of crazy things. Okay. I hadn't seen these guys in a long time. And they came into town Friday. They partied, played some darts, had some drinks, stayed up all night. I had a great time. And he knew he was going to do this. And that's why Xander missed the Amex, right? And so Saturday morning creeps along, the sun rises. They're still going at it, right? They are still going at it. And at around noon is when is about the time they decide to stop on Saturday morning or Saturday, getting in the
Saturday.
afternoon. Yeah. And what Xander realized was that if he went to bed at that moment in time, he could possibly miss the game. He could possibly miss the game. So what Xander had to do was continue to party. So he can make it to the game. Now he ended up making it. It was fabulous. The Commanders won. It was a great, great evening for me. I mean, for Xander. For Xander, not me. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this. That was the beginning of the story. Now, we've been doing this pod for about 10 years, right? We've been doing this pod for about a decade. And in a decade, I've been telling some wild, insane, crazy stories, right? They've just been wild. Now, I'm going to take a little bit from the WWE here. They do sports entertainment, right? That's the moniker that they made. I'm going to steal it from them. We're a gambling entertainment pod. Right? Gambling entertainment is what we do, right? We bring the info, Brad Messersmith, Tyler Tambolini, Byron Lindeque, those guys just bring the knowledge, bring everything you need. I'm the entertainment, all right? I'm the funny guy that's on the show, right? And, there's a lot of times where I might go overboard, and I apologize about that. Not everything is great. And the thing about it is, it's possible, since this is an entertainment pod, that every story that I've said in the last 10 years has never really happened. Right? It's possible, right? Because you guys don't know who I really am. You guys don't hang out with me every week that are listening. I could have just made everything up. Just so that the pod could be successful and that we can go for 10 years, because there's a lot of pods out there that are just boring. I apologize. Now, the info that they give out might be incredible, right? But it's hard to listen to sometimes, right? And we try to avoid that here. And sometimes I go overboard. I'll admit it. But, some of those stories might never have happened. You never know. You never really, really know. So again, this is a sports entertainment pod. Just remember that when I go and do these wild and wacky stories. All right, so I needed to pause there because I want to cut that out. I'll tell you what's really happening at this point in time. I might have to find another job. Okay, I've never in my life had to apply for a job, ever. I've always gotten jobs given to me by people I've known. Now I am in this new industry, and it's possible that, the company's a startup. We're doing okay. I'm not saying it's happening, but it's possible that, the startup doesn't work and I have to go and I have to move into this field. And a lot of the big jobs are big, huge companies that will probably check on me, right? And so what I needed was that last little segment that I had where I was saying, everything was fake. I just need to be able to snip that out just in case an employer comes up to me and is like, I saw you talking some crazy shit on this pod. But hold on, let me show you this snippet. And then just to show them that it's an entertainment pod. All those stories are real. Now, the story that I told in the beginning, it could have been part of this bit. That one could have been fake. Okay? Just letting you know that. But, it's just something I've been going on. And again, this is not, I feel like this is not as tuned up as it could have been. But, Byron made me tell the story and made me do the bit. And I'll be doing these bits every now and then just to bring that entertainment. I'll be honest, all those stories that I've had, they're real life stories. So I've sort of run out of them at this point in time. So that's why we've been doing the crazy Scotty Scheffler stories and making stuff up. And you'll be hearing more of that. You'll have more bits as the season goes on. And this one was definitely one of them. Yeah. So that was what I was going to do. Probably not as smooth as it could have been, but let's move on to
Kenny,
the bet. Yeah, go ahead.
you regret 100% of the shots you don't take, my brother. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
I think you would have felt terrible not having done it. It would have
Yeah,
been
see, I was
even
in the
more
back
cheap.
of my mind as the show was going on. I was like, maybe I should have done it.
Shoot your fucking shot, baby. Go for the moon. Go big.
Some
Go
are going
home.
to work, some aren't. I have no idea if that was funny or not. I have no clue.
We will find out in the comments. People are going to let us know
We'll find out.
how
We'll
Kenny's
find out.
story was, because that's
But at least
what we wanna
now
know.
I have some plausible deniability when it comes to employers. So I had to put that little snip in the middle, which is all lies. And so we're just going to go ahead and let's continue.
Let's get into it. And this week's betting segment, as always, brought to you by Kickback Golf. Use code FGD15 to continue to support Kenny's sources down south so that we can bring you the amazing stories. Check out all of their baseball, their all sorts of basketball jerseys that have these golfers' names on them with the lowest score they've shot on tour. You can rip the crap out of those things. Christmas is gone now, so you can't buy that for your dad anymore. But now it's Easter time. It's
Valentine's
Augusta
Day,
time.
bro.
Valentine's Day,
Yes.
bro. All the chicks out there watching the show, buy your boo a basketball jersey, or
For real.
buy yourself one. You know,
Yeah.
let's start repping for the girls here. I think that's an important thing to put out there. So use code FGD15 when you are buying these amazing, amazing looking jerseys that have these alma maters of these golfers on them. Kenny, we're going to hit a winner this week. I'm telling you now. We've been just poking around the hole. We're gonna get it home.
I like
this
poking
week.
around the hole. Big fan of that.
It's always good to poke around the hole, but it's better to, stop poking
I
around
had
the
more
hole.
stuff that I wanted to say, and then I remember.
And then I remember there's girls watching now.
women.
So now
women watch the show.
you guys have ruined the show for us. No, I'm just kidding.
So
We
I
love-
can't
we
say
love
what I
every
wanted to
single
say, man.
one. So let's get into the hole about what we're doing. Yeah. What are you
right.
doing for your outrights this week, Kenny?
First one's going to be Willie Z at 22-1. All of these are going to be with 8 places this week. Willie, like I said earlier, it was nice seeing him playing so well in a birdie fest. He looks 100% healthy. He's played this course exceptionally well in the past. He can hit it far enough, though he's a little bit shorter than he used to be. He's, the driving looks like it's improving after what I saw this past week. So I'm going to go ahead and take him at 22-1 with 8 places. He's going to be a popular bet. I think when it comes to DFS, he might be eatable chalk. We'll see. We'll talk about that when we get to DFS. Now, the next one's going to be Bo Hostler at 45-1. Now, here's the thing. Tee to Green has been the best of his career since late last season. Basically, the last 5 to 7 events he's played has been the best tee to green, the best ball striking numbers of his entire career. He's had good finishes at this place before. He's well above average, top 25 in POA putting, one of the better putters out there. We've seen him come close a couple of times in the last
Far
12
too
months.
often.
Yeah, or so, and that's why you take the 8 places, right? With him. But I just the way he's been looking, the way he's been striping the ball, the way his numbers have looked, this is the best since the Wyndham. It's been the best 7 tournament stretch he has ever had when it comes to tee to green. So I'm hoping that this leads to a win for him at 45-1 with 8 places. Normally, I hate his face. If he wins, I'll probably close my eyes so I don't have to look at it. But I'm
PGA
betting
Tour
him.
Radio.
Yeah, I'm betting him today 45-1. Jaeger 50-1. Form and history is what we've seen. Pretty easy. Now, I like him as a bet. I can already tell he's going to be super popular in DFS. Could be one of those plays. I don't know. We have to come up with a name for this. But a guy you bet, but then you fade in DFS. Whatever name we could think of, listeners, think of a name for this. A guy that you would bet, but you would fade in DFS in the same week. We need to figure out a name, because that's what I think I'm going to be doing with Mr. Jaeger this week. I actually kept him off the cash lineup because he's so poor on POA, like one of the worst POA putters out there. But good finish here last year, coming here on good form. So I'll take 50 to 1 with 8 places for him. Next, it's going to be Alex Smalley, 80 to 1. Form excellent so far this year. A couple of top 16s as the year is going on. Good long iron play. Good short iron play. Good short game play. Solid off the tee numbers. Another one like a Bo that has gained strokes in his last 5 in every single strokes gain category. Right? For 80 to 1, I'll go ahead and play that. Next, it's going to be Sam Ryder. I just like Sam. I'm a fan of Sam Ryder. Very respectable showing at the Sony with a 21st. Like lower last week, this is a guy that I just like. And we've seen him, 2 top 10s here in the last 4 years. So I'll go ahead and put 140 to 1 on Sam Ryder. Next, it's going to be Jake Knapp, 160 to 1. This is a Ben Coley play. If you haven't listened to his new podcast, go out and listen to it. It's called Slice the Pod. It's on Apple. Him and Sam, who does the music.
Sam.
Sam Harrop, who does all the musical songs based on players. They started a podcast. Ben's one of the sharpest guys I know. Our most listened to pod ever in the history of the Fantasy Golf Degenerates was when he was a guest. So this one's just a Ben Coley play. I saw it. He got some 250 to 1 number. I couldn't find that. I got 160 to 1. Next, Nate Lashley, 180 to 1. Strong POA putter. 3rd here last year. Doesn't make too many bogeys. Like I said last week, when it comes to long shots like this, you only need to find 1 or 2 things you like about these guys. And then just go ahead and fire, right? But the one thing I will say, if you don't have each way betting, I would probably limit the number of huge long shots you have in your card and maybe put that money more into guys in a range from 30 to 60 or something like that.
What about betting top 5s, Kenny?
Okay, yeah, okay. Well, you can go over that. I'm just talking from an outright perspective. Okay. Yeah. I'm just talking from an outright perspective. Just because, there has to 100 to 1 shots and above don't hit that often. I know Nick Taylor was one. Dunlop was another last year. And then like Spawn the year before that. I can't think of very many others, right? I can't think of very many others. We're talking about less than 10% of the winners. Now, there's been a bunch that have finished top 8, right? There's been a bunch that have finished top 8. And that's why when it comes to the outright betting, if you have each ways, I don't mind you going a lot into the long
shot. 100s. Yeah.
If you don't have them, it's a little bit tougher because it's a lot less likely, like a shit ton lot less likely that these guys are actually going to win the event. Okay. Now I do have one more. This was a win only that I found, and I don't think you can get it now, but I'll just put it out there. And I'll ask you if you'll take the new number. But I saw Justin Rose, DraftKings released the pricing early, like Sunday night, Sunday evening. And I think this was a mistake. I talked to Mike Miller, who does smartgolfinfo.com, another site that you should check out. It's like $1 a week. It gives you all the info for every single event that's going on in the world, with like course history, form, all that good stuff. So go check out Smart Golf Info with Mike Miller. But he said that he thought it would be 60 to 70 to 1. Yes, last night on DraftKings, it was 140 to 1 for Justin Rose. No each way, because DraftKings doesn't have each way betting. But I couldn't pass. So it's win only. I couldn't pass on that number at 140 to 1. He's won this event like 5 years ago, right?
Yes.
And so I had to take that number. Now he's 60 to 1. Byron, is that something that would interest you? Justin Rose to 1 with 8 places.
No, I wouldn't go at 60.
I didn't rebet it. I didn't rebet it at 60 even.
No, because he just hasn't given you enough love lately to go to 60, but at 140, you're just banking on a course history.
Now,
show up, that's minimal investment.
Well, not just that, a couple of other narrative reasons that you could think of is, it's a Ryder Cup year. His ass wants to make that team and he doesn't want to be a captain's pick that's struggling, that might not get picked. He wants to play well. I'm going to be made fun of for this one. But when I saw him on TGL, he looked like it wasn't the game. It wasn't the way he was swinging. It wasn't the way he was playing. It was just his aura, his attitude. Like, it looks like he's in it. And I don't think it was just for the TGL. I think he knows that this is a big year for him. He wants to make that Ryder Cup team. And I think he's going to be focused. He's coming to a course that he loves, that he makes all the cuts on every year. I think he's missed 1 out of the last 7 with 1 out of the last 7. He's had 4 top 10s and 5 top 20s, right? And so at 140 to 1, I was going to take that bet. And in DFS, he's definitely a cash option. We'll go more about that. Byron, what are you doing this week?
Cool. So, Kenny, I just took a look at Justin Rose's top 5 market. It's almost a quarter, because that's what happens with an E-Tray. If you're taking 5 places, you get your outright chopped into 4 quarters. So
it's 15 to 1?
It's 14 to 1. So they get, that's what the nice part about a E-Tray is they're not fucking you with a bit of juice on the top 5 side of things. But if you want to, like if the number is big enough, like in the hundreds.
Well, I would go, but then you get only top 5, not top 8. And that's why the top 5 is 14 to 1. The top 8 would be 12 to 1.
Correct. And if you find a top 5 that pays ties in full, you're probably going to go, it drops it from 14 to 12, but then you can finish T5 with 4, 5, 6 other guys, if that is the case, and you cash 100% of that bet. And each way gets dead heated. So, there's some benefits to kind of just taking a bit more juice with the ties paid in full, as always, especially on such a large number. You never want to get a 50 to 1 or 20 to 1 ticket get chopped 3, 4 ways. That's horrible. So just my little thoughts on that. I definitely think you can tail each way plays with Kenny just by betting the top 5s if it makes sense at your book that you have. I've got a few outrights as well that overlap with you, Kenny. It's Will Zalatoris at 25 to 1 in a big way. I think he's going to be a guy I'm going to in the top 20 market as well. I'll be betting him to win a unit there at plus 115 at this golf course, Kenny. Will Zalatoris.
Top 20?
Top 20. So you're getting plus money for Will. That's not a bad way to hedge it if you don't have the each ways. I don't have an each way on Will Easy. I just bet big time on the top 20 over there. So that's where I'm going to be going with him. I've got Steven Yeager as well at 60 to 1. I'll have to find a top 5 on him because that was out on DraftKings last night. So we'll be hunting down a way to placement him in there. Jason Day, 28 to 1. I mean, same thing as Will Zalatoris, Kenny.
That's a guy we missed talking about in the preview. He looked good.
Yeah, he looked good at a birdie fest. He's got phenomenal course history at this golf course. So he's looking like he's playing some solid golf again. 28 to 1 over at FanDuel. Will be following over Jason Day. Jesper Svensson, also another long-hitting Swede. Kind of like Ludwig, but not all the flash, obviously not nearly as good. But 150 to 1.
If he places this week after I bet him last week, I'll be pissed.
Ooh, Jesper?
Yeah.
This is a perfect course for him. He's got so much distance off the tee, and I think it makes too much sense. All right, Kenny, are you ready for this one? Bet 365. Each way. Aldrich Potgieter at 450 to 1.
Yeah, the dude's a monster on the Corn Ferry Tour last year, right?
A monster. And on my...
Just pounds the ball like 380 and shit, right? Yeah.
He hits it so far. And guess what, Kenny? You mentioned Kikuya Rough, right? That's what's cooking over here. He almost won the Nedbank Golf Challenge down in South Africa at Gary Player Country Club. Kikuya Rough. A very difficult golf course. That's like, if you take a look at his metrics, he does his best golf on long golf courses and golf courses that are very fucking hard. And this is both of those. He's got tons of distance. He almost won the Gary Player, the Nedbank, in December. So he's got some great form. 450 to 1 right now. So that's 112 to 1 each way. And I'm going to bet him top 10 as well at 2,000 plus 2,000, 20 to 1 for a top 10 and top 20 at plus 850. So we're laddering him win top 5, top 10, top 20. And we are literally investing. I'll pull up the numbers right now for you. It's a minimal amount of units. We got 0.2 units invested to make tons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
no, I'm making that bet. I'm making that bet right now.
Yeah.
I'm going 8 places at 400 to 1 for $10.
Let's go.
Hey, $5,000 on a $10 bet. Let's just go for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
like,
I mean, still, it's like $900, $800 for the 8 place each way.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're putting
That's-
that bet in. We're putting that bet in. We're
So-
clicking that shit right now, brother.
Yeah. This is what I tried to do with Mackenzie Hughes last week. Didn't quite pay off. You know, had a bad round here or there, but Aldrich Portje, I mean, it makes tons of sense. It's a massive misprice in my opinion. I won't be surprised if this gets close to 100 to 1 by the time all things, you know, once people start smashing this market. Because, Kenny, there's no other thing in football where you can bet a guy at 450 to 1. You put down $2 and you can win $1,000.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just insane. There's no bet in football that you can do that on. And he has legit a chance to do this. You know, the correlation to Nedbank. So very excited for
football
him.
saved
this
my
week.
life this past weekend because I won like $700. I hit a parlay. I hit all 4 money lines.
Oh, Jesus. You,
Yeah.
of course you did.
I hit
Let's
all
go.
hit all 4 money lines in all 4 games this week. Hit my lower thing. So I won like $1,000 for the week, but just not in golf.
Hey, you know what, Kenny? You gotta take it where it gets given to you. So I'm all about that for you.
Commanders, Super Bowl 25 to 1. Made that bet 2 weeks ago.
Oh, baby. Let's go, Kenny. Let's go. 25 to 1. I've got to say hit the goal at 30 to 1 to win this thing as well, by the way, with the top 5 on him each way. So Sahith, Portje, Svensson, Day, Zalatoris. Those are my guys. We're going to see what they can get up to for us in the betting market. And then I'll throw
What
a
about
few
the place markets, brother? What about the
Let's
place
get to
markets?
the
That's your
placements.
shit, right?
as we go. I sent Mike a screenshot, which he'll be putting up for us during this segment. And we're going to go back to freaking Tony Finau. We're going back to him because he's plus 105 again for a top 20 at a golf course, Kenny, that he's thrived at. This guy is built for Torrey Pines, is Tony Finau. Finishing inside the top 20 at a 63% clip. Plus 105 is once again, if you listen to last week's show, a 49% implied probability. So there's a big difference in what Tony Finau gets up to in the top 20 markets. I would not bet him top 10 or top 5 because he just doesn't get there enough. But the top 20 market is Tony Finau's jam. Go put some eggs, bacon, and syrup all over that and enjoy. I'll be betting 2 units in that market over there. Aaron Rai finishes inside the top 20 at half the time. He's plus 190 top 20 bet. So you're getting a solid edge on Aaron Rai, who's boring. These are boring bets on boring golfers, but this is how you pay the bills, people. Aaron Rai is the way to go. The bet implies it only happens 1 in every 3 chances. He's doing it 1 in every 2. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. And he's one of the guys that isn't distance orientated. He's accuracy, Kenny. So he's the guy that keeps in the fairways more than anyone else. You know, like
it could be the guy that could be the DFS play, leverage play.
Exactly. So he's a perfect option in that department. And then I'm going to tell you another guy that I hate as a fan of this person, but love to bet him in this particular market. It's Shane Lowry, plus 150 for a top 20. This implies it happens 40% of the time. Shane Lowry's finishing inside the top 20 2 out of every 3 starts, 67% of the time. You know what I'm saying? At this golf course, this is what Shane Lowry's built for. He's super accurate. He's got decent distance, and he plays very well at Torrey Pines. He's not going to win the damn thing, but he likes to just float around the top 20 repeatedly. He's a repeat offender in the top 20 market over there. And then I mentioned Willie Z as a top 20 bet as well at plus 115 or plus 105, whatever you can find out there. So I'll be bringing up a few more match placements and matchups, which saved our tail last week on my show on Mayo Media, Back 9 Bets at 7 Eastern tomorrow, aka today if you're listening on Tuesday. And I'll see you guys there for the live show. You can answer me all your questions, all that jazz. So I'll have even more, have my screen up showing you guys how we go through all these placement bets, which are brought to you by Kickback Golf. Use code FGD15 to save yourself 15% off some amazing paraphernalia over there and support the Kenny's sources from South.
Yeah. One more thing, underdog. I'll probably have some underdog plays this coming up week. Probably on X. Just check my X feed at Kendo VT. Again, you would think they're pretty smart, so I wouldn't expect like crazy different. I wouldn't expect wrong numbers from the North and South course, but you never know.
Never know.
Yeah, never know, right? So we'll make sure we check that out. That should be. I'll have some plays probably tomorrow evening. Tuesday evening.
Beautiful. Do we want to chat DFS or one and done, Kenny?
Let's go DFS.
Let's go to the DFS tiers, baby. And no blood, sweat, and tears. We're just going to have these tiers of victory this week. So, Kenny, hit me up. Where are you going at the top of the board here?
I had
with
Tears
the
of Victory.
10K?
It's a good call. That was me this weekend. I mean, yeah, Tears of Victory.
Yes. What you up to in the 10K range?
10K, first cash game cornerstone is going to be Decky. I thought about Finau, and I thought about Oberg. This might change. It could go to Oberg, but at this moment in time, I'm going to stick with Decky just because he's played this course well in the past, couple of really good finishes the last couple of years. And the thing about Decky is the last couple of years have been the worst he's been off the tee in his career, right? And he still finished top 15 here both times. And his off the tee game has improved drastically since probably mid-season last year. Like, it's been improved. The improvement's been palpable. You've seen it.
Third best in this field.
Yeah.
For me.
So, going in, having those couple of years where it wasn't great, where he wasn't driving the ball great, and now he's driving the ball well. He has great form, first at the Century, 16th at the Sony, coming in. He's got that good rhythm. He's played. He's got some, game-worn experience, no rust to knock off. So I do like Decky. I think I'm going to keep him and then maybe make Oberg my GPP play where he's going to be my highest owned. I think that's what I'm going to do. So have Decky, but I don't mind Decky or Oberg in cash, either one of those to start. Now, my strategy in cash is I'm not going to overplay my guys in my cash lineup in GPPs because that's going to make them a part of like 70% of my total cash flow for the week. And I'm just not that aggressive. Maybe I should be, but I'm personally not. So I'll probably go 50% Oberg. We've talked about Oberg. We've talked, the length off at the tee. He is fairly accurate. He should have probably been in contention and won this event last year. The worry, of course, is Sundays with him. And it sort of started at this event last year when it comes down to Sundays, because he won the RSM probably, 2-3 tournaments before that. Right. And so you worry about that a little. But I'm going to go Hideki as my cash king cornerstone first play. And I'm going to play a shit ton of Oberg. I'm thinking about just rostering all three of these guys, like 50% Oberg, 20% Decky in GPPs, and then 30% Finau, because we talked about Finau. You talked about him. You went over. And then not playing anybody else in the 9K except Will Zalatoris. That's something I'm thinking of. We'll see how that goes. What are you doing in the take-ins?
Interesting. I love Hideki, Kenny, because of the four guys up top there, he's a perennial winner right now.
Yeah.
This guy is just knocking out. When he gets into contention, it's game over, bro. It's like a Sepp Straka situation as well. When these guys contend, they do not take their foot off the gas. And he's playing phenomenal golf. He's easily the best golfer in this field. He's world number 4 right now.
Top the top of the odds board.
Yeah.
11-1 over Oberg.
Yes. So you're getting $100 discount. The course history isn't pristine or phenomenal, but again, this is peak Hideki we've got. And if you think about how his game works, he hacks it out of that rough. He's so aggressive out of the rough, and he's very, very good when it comes to playing out of the rough as well.
And
so
around the green, he's one of the best.
He's elite, so, and his putter is firing on all cylinders now all of a sudden. So he's woo, let's go. So I like him a lot, and I will probably be playing him the most of the four guys up top here. I'm super interested to see what Max Griesemann gets up to at this golf course. We can finally start seeing him unleashing the driver. He needs to redeem the top 5 from last week that he kind of threw away for us there, but he's playing some great golf, Kenny, and has all the traits that you need for this golf course again.
Gracemann's going to be a fade for me this week, just because when it comes down to it, he relies so much on his putter, and he's one of the best putters in the world. And at this point in time, we've seen enough from him where his putter is good enough where he can contend even without being good at the ball striking, right? But this is POA. It's a different animal. It's not as smooth. It's a lot more grainy. It's a lot more difficult to putt on. Now, when you actually look at his POA numbers, Let's take a peek at that real quick. Give me 1 second.
They are pretty bad.
While I bring it up. But I mean, I don't know how many times he's actually played Hoa, but he's 120th in this field. And he's only played 2 rounds on Hoa. So it's a very, very small sample size. But when he had played on Hoa, he was god off. And if his putter is off, he's not going to contend.
I'm looking at his putting.
Now, here's the thing.
2024.
Unlike the ball strikers, who, if their putting is off, they could possibly still contend, right? Even with shitty putting, right? You've seen guys in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th place losing strokes putting, like Justin Thomas does all the time, right? But they're so good at ball striking, they can overcome that. From a great putter perspective, it's hard. If you're not good at ball striking and your putting is off by a little, it's really hard to compete.
True, but he has proven that he is literally one of the best putters in the world.
He is.
So like there is volatility and variability when it comes to putting, but some guys are just
a lot
very
less
good
with him.
with
a
him,
lot
exactly.
less. I'll admit that it's a lot less
Yes.
with him.
Yes.
It's a lot less.
The range of
but-
outcomes are smaller when you hit your ball striking elite guys because that's just so much easier to repeat. Obviously, it's a bit wider with him, but he's a fantastic option and he played really well on the approach side of things, Kenny, last week. I know it's only 2 rounds, but he was really, really solid on that front. So there's exciting things ahead for old Grease Trap. We'll see what he can do for us. I'm a believer in him this week, so I know you are not. Who are you? I think you just said Willie Z. You're just going to be rolling him
my
out.
second cash game cornerstone.
Okay.
Pretty easy. We've talked about him. I'm not going to go over it again.
Cool.
He's cash game cornerstone number 2. And then I might not play anybody else. If I play those 3 guys up, top, it won't. Just when the numbers come together, it won't leave me room for too many. I might throw Jason Day in there, but if Jason Day is popular, I always want to be over the projected ownership. I want to, that's how you get leverage in GPPs, right? And if J Day is going to be 20% and I need 30, 35% to really have that leverage, I won't be able to afford that with the 3 guys up top. So that's good. That is going to be a leverage. That's going to be an ownership thing. If I see him at like 10, 12%, because people just don't like Jason Day. I don't see him being that popular, especially when he's at this price. Now, after his performance last week, that could change, but I'll have to see the ownership numbers for that.
Yes, I think it is. Again, when we always get into this range, it's just let the ownership kind of guide you. You don't have to like be hard set on one specific guy. If you are, great, and go overboard with him to make sure you 2x the field, but kind of just sprinkle in guys so that you can be 2x by only playing 20% of them if it leads you down that route. One of the names that I'll be interested to see is Shane Lowry. I think he's a great anchor piece at 9K. He's been super consistent on this golf course, and I think we can really expect some good results from Shane-O, starting to play some solid golf again, along with Jason Day, and then I'll be playing a lot of Willie Z. I think I'll be playing a lot more 9K guys than you, Kenny, because I'm going to be leaving the 10K guys alone. They don't have as much juice as I would want. In the 8s, we've got Max Homa on a Max Homa golf course, Kenny. What are we doing with Max Homa?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I've always said you play Homa on Homa courses. Is this a Homa course, or is this the one that he really messes up on?
No, he's won on this golf course before. He beat
so-
Keegan Bradley like 2 years ago when I had Keegan and finished second. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's something I might have to think about. Like, just looking at the things, I mean, I might have to play him because I don't have very many guys in the 8 or 9K range. Right now, I've only starred that aren't cash plays. I starred 4 of the guys in the 8 to 9K range. One of the guys in the 8K range is going to be Taylor Pendrith. At 8,800. Again, he makes a good amount of birdies. He's strong off the tee. Well above, really well above average with his longer irons. He's decent putter, well above average putter, and his iron game is strong. It's somebody that I could take a peek at 8,800. Kurt Kitayama actually comes number 1 in my model. Is anyone going to play Kurt Kitayama at $8,700? I think he's going to be,
but not very popular.
I think he's got to be single-digit owned. I think he's the leverage play in my book in this 8K range. The event he won was Honda or
Bay Hill, which is a very difficult golf course. I have it as a comp for this week.
Yeah, difficult, hard golf course, long, golf course. When it comes to Kitty, I mean, tee to green, he's actually number 1 in this field in the last 24 rounds. Second in bogey avoidance, first in 175 to 200, second in 200 plus. Like, from a numbers perspective, like, this guy is like leaps and bounds everywhere. You can't just rely on stats, though, of course. But I don't think people will. Do you think the stats that people see will draw people to him? Like, this is a funny ownership thing. I'm thinking like 8 to 12%. And if he's like anywhere in the lower end of that, I am going to bang him up. I'm going to go 30% minimum.
I mean, his 2 miscuts is going to throw people off completely.
Yeah.
At a venue like this, people will be looking for course history. It's very predictive of future success if he played here well in the past. It makes zero sense that he hasn't played well here, given all the stuff that you've mentioned. So he might not be a good course history guy, but he's a great course fit guy that might break out of that mold. Seems as though he's found some decent form the last little while, Kenny. So I'm a big fan of that. And he's going to get squeezed between Max Homa and Pendrith, who could be the 2 popular players in this range. So I don't mind him. Luke Clanton is going to be probably a top 5, top 10 bet for me as well this week. Tune in tomorrow. This guy's upside is incredible, and he's got the game. I think he's got the distance, all of that jazz to kind of take this golf course apart. And then I'll be playing some Aaron Rai. I think he's a sneaky option too, because like we said, he's not going to be a very popular play because of the lack of distance, but he's got the elite accuracy off the tee that you need. And then Harry Hall at $8,000. He's also really played poorly at this golf course. So I was kind of eyeing him out for a win, outright market bet, but hasn't played the greatest year. It's been 3 miscuts for him, and that's it. So looking at his recent form, though, Jesus, the worst finish he's had in the last 5 is a 21st, and that was last week.
I think when it comes to GPPs, you put less emphasis on course history because
Correct.
that is going to give you the leverage.
Natural leverage, yes. Yeah. The ownership pulls around course history because it's safe. Guys are comfortable around it.
And in cash, I knock course history up a bunch.
Absolutely. Safety. That's the guys play well at golf courses they play well at. Thomas Dietrich, talk about a complete meltdown last year. Can you remember when he was riding contention and then he laid up to be safe, hit a wedge onto the green and spun it into the water and just out of nowhere just completely threw his chances up on Saturday? So he's very underpriced, in my opinion, at $7,900, along with Steven Yeager at $78. So I'll give you one more with Nicholas Norgard-Muller, who's also a freak in the sheets when it comes to driver. It's just Nuke City. And he's
who is that guy? I've never heard of him.
Yeah, he's a DP World Tour.
Why is he $7,800?
He's very good. He's had some great finishes on the DP World Tour. He finished the year strong, and he's a great course fit. He has got so much distance off the tee.
That's another good leverage play because I don't think people are going to play him.
Yes.
Now, the thing is, internationals have done pretty well at this course in the past. So,
Oigard last year.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's definitely something to think of. I like Bo Hostler at AK. I've already talked about him. You guys know that. My third cash game cornerstone this week is going to be Justin Rose. We talked about him as well. The course history, pretty easy stuff. You can go back to the betting segment when I talked about him. My final cash game cornerstone is going to be Smalley at 7,300. Again, we talked about him as well, or I talked about him as well on the betting segment. So my cash game cornerstones for this week are going to be Decky at 10,700, Willie Z at 9,500, Rose at 7,600, Smalley at 7,300. That'll leave you, close to 15K left to fill out the rest of your lineup. I'm thinking maybe Bo Hostler, maybe Ben Griffin up there at 8,100 are guys that I might think of, and going down the Ryder to finish my lineup. We'll see. Again, taking a little bit more risk there. Like I said, when it comes down to cash. Other guys, I like this Dana Berger. It looks like, again, another guy like Willie Z. It seems like he's healthy. It seems like he's back to full strength. A guy who's putt well on POA, which is strange because he's a Bermuda guy from Florida State. But overall for his career, he's been on the plus side when it comes to POA. So I do like Daniel Berger down there. Yeager, like I talked about, he's going to be a bet, but he might be a fade for me when it comes to GPP because I expect a lot of ownership. Now, if it's under like 12%, then maybe I go to him because his form has just been excellent. But of course, the worry is how poor he's been on POA. Second, the misses he had driving and the last round at the Sony when he was just all over the place. And if that happens, he's screwed. So I don't know. I don't know about him in GBPs or in DFS, but for the bet, I don't mind taking that risk. JJ Spawn is one of those situations where I've talked about this before on other shows where guys with hometown narratives have struggled because, a lot of the times where, you got to get tickets, you meet friends you haven't seen in a long time. It interrupts the normal flow of things for a week. When you play at like a hometown event, for some guys they could do well on it. For some others, they haven't. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm thinking JJ's more experienced now, right? He's been in the game long enough. I'm hoping that because of how well he has been playing the last few weeks, that form can overtake the course history, and I'll take the risk in GPPs. Patrick Rogers, another guy who's well above average when it comes to POA, a California kid who goes out there, who has been close once again a couple of times in the last year. Gary Woodland down here at $7,200. He's won a Pebble. Right, he's used to POA. When it comes for you've seen glimpses already this season of him playing decent golf. So I like Gary Woodland down there in the low 7Ks. Anybody else you like here?
Jesus.
Matt Wallace is grading out really well for me in this market at $7,500. I think he's someone you can take a peek at for sure. Tristan Lawrence is a Mathieu Pavon type of golfer. He's not going to overpower this golf course, but man, he's got some really good short game and he's got some pedigree. It's kind of bizarre that Nicholas Norgard-Muller is priced above Tristan when Tristan finished second, I believe, on the race to Dubai points, or third behind Rasmus. So it's incredible to see what he's going to get up to. I'm really excited to see what he gets up to on the PGA Tour now that he's over here. So that's going to be it for me in the sevens. I do have a $6,900 golfer, Kenny, Joseph Bramlett. He's made the cut in the last 5 years.
Wow.
If you remove a 67 and a 45th, he's got 3 top 25s. He's just built for this golf course. He's got so much freaking distance off the tee. So I'll be betting him top 40 as well at some crazy plus money. By the way, Joseph Bramlett is just a course history thoroughbred at $6,900. He's almost too good to pass up at that price. So I'm curious where else you're going to be going to that's not named Jake Knapp, Kenny, because I do think he's a great option.
Yeah, I talked about Ryder already at 6,800. I've talked about Nate Lashley at 6,700. Some guy that might be 2% owned, 1% owned, S.H. Kim, playing one of the best players on POA. He's played POA very, very well. In the few times that he's played on POA greens, he's putted his ass off. He's a short game wizard. I could get behind him. Knapp, of course. I don't know. Natty Schmid rates out really well, but it was sort of pissy to see what he did at the Amex this past week on a course where he's had success. But from a numbers perspective, I mean, his putter's been good, his approach game's been good, making a lot of birdies. Off the tee is strong. Again, 1% to 2% owned. Again, probably is what you'll see. But I mean, Toasty down here at 6,400, a guy who just mollywops it off the tee, and I'm going to go with your guy Polkire, just because of the way you talked him up. Yeah, I'm going to go with him too. Who else do you like?
Skinny Pete, 6K flat. Peter Malnati. He's in the last 10 events. He doesn't have a made cut recently, but in between 2 missed cuts, he's got a 20th, a 25th, and a 10th at this golf course. He just Skinny Pete Malnati.
Yeah. Well, he's one of the accuracy guys who's amazing on POA, right?
Yes.
If you can find that combination, which Malnati 100% does, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. And if the course plays hard, the harder the better here, because he's just going to scramble his way around this golf course, and he's very comfortable doing that. So, yeah, love Potgieter as well. And then I'll mention Harry Higgs as we're getting out of the 6,000s, because he's
How much
also
is Malnati?
6K flat. He's the cheapest option in the field with an incredible course history. So you can't pass that kind of nonsense up given his pedigree. Yep. So
the funny thing is, when you look at his stats on Fantasy National, all red.
Yeah, it's disastrous.
Red is bad. But hey, I like the way you're thinking. I like the way you're thinking.
Let's go. Kenny, one and done, and then we get out of here. Where are you going with one and done? Where is he just going to take the chalk?
I'm going to eat the chalk this week. When it comes to events where, like last week, maybe you go with like some crazier names, but like, a prestigious course like this, that's going to be more difficult. And of course, we saw this not come to fruition last year with Pavon. But anyways, I'm going to go Willie Z. I like him. I think a win's coming. I really do like the bet, and I like him in DFS, and I'm going to play him in one and done. He's going to be popular. I don't care. I'm going to go ahead. This is where I'm just eliminating all the popularity. I don't care. I'm going to play it.
Ooh, you know what? You have an opportunity to do that every now and then, especially at a golf course like this that he suits so well. I love it. I'm going to take a slightly contrarian option, just pivot off of him a little bit with Jason Day. Basically the same scenario. I think he will be a little less popular than Willie Z. So I think he's a great option. If you're looking for someone way less popular, Seth Theegala has the chance to win this tournament, in my opinion, but he's also provides far less safety than the other two. So, you're not going to be getting chump change from him. You'll likely be getting big money or miscut. So that's my opinion there. Kenny, where can people find you? I'll let you go first, and then I'll get us out of here.
You can find me on X at KendoVT. That's it.
Boom.
That's
everything, Kenny, in one place.
I'll have my final betting card. I'll post it on there. I'll have my underdog plays. I'll post it on X. That's how I'm rolling this year. No, I don't have to write anything this year yet. So, no, not working for a site.
Beautiful. Maybe I'll bring you on as my signature specialist for my Patreon, which you can find at the Model Maniac. I have all my stuff over there. Don't forget to use code Mayo when you're signing up for Underdog. Best ball streets are alive again.
Ooh, how are you doing?
The scramble, I'm making up ground. Every week, I've taken a screenshot of the amount I'm winning. It's kind of tricky to count how many guys you have in contention, but of 148 lineups, I got 33 in first. So
that's nice. I have 10 lineups. I have 5 in first, 2 in second, 2 in third.
Oh, beautiful. I mean, that's a great hit rate right now. So
no, we'll see.
But with Xander WDing, with Mackenzie Hughes, there's been the WDs have been crazier this year than I've ever remembered. Maybe it's because I'm in best ball, but it's just been weird to start the year. So use code Mayo.
The conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
you've heard the conspiracy theory that these guys are doing this on purpose to give the PGA Tour a little shove into getting the live deal done. I don't know if that's true. I don't think it is, but 4 of the top 5 players in the world withdrawing from the first couple of events. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's also the TGL conspiracy.
Correct. No. But Xander's not even teeing it up with his team. He's injured as fuck. So it is what it is. Code Mayo gets you up to $1,000 deposit bonus. Use code FGD15 for all of our kickback golf needs. Check me out on my Patreon, The Model Maniac, and we'll get the hell out of here. We really appreciate every single one of you. And Kenny,
make sure you check out our sponsors. Underdog Fantasy, use promo code Mayo. Get yourself a deposit match up to $1,000. Go to kickbackgolf.com. Use promo code FGD15. Save yourselves 15% on all their apparel. It should be a fun week. It's usually a fun tournament. The story I told about Xander is actually me. Let's win some motherfucking money. DGen Nation.